You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin. I stood in the doorway of the kitchen, watching her scroll through her phone at the counter like I wasn't even there. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "What if we got out of town this weekend? Just the two of us. No emails, no errands. I found this cabin up in Asheville. Fireplace, hot tub, quiet." She didn't even look up, just kept tapping the screen with her thumb. "I've got a lot going on right now. You should have asked sooner." "It's only Tuesday," I said. I walked over to the sink and rinsed out my coffee cup, trying to keep my voice level. "I just thought maybe we could take a break from this routine. We haven't really had time together in a while." Now she looked up, just long enough to say, "I'm not in the mood to play house in the woods. If I want a weekend away, I'll let you know." My stomach sank. I couldn't even be mad. Not really. It was the same tone she used when she reminded me to take out the trash or asked if I'd picked up dog food. Detached, businesslike. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I leaned against the counter and nodded, pretending to take the hit like it was no big deal. Right, okay. That fake smile I put on. It hurt more than her words. It was automatic at this point. I'd been doing it for years. Smile, nod, keep the peace. She went back to scrolling, like the conversation never even happened. No follow-up, no question about how I was feeling. I stood there for another second, then pushed off the counter and walked toward the hallway. "Let me know if you change your mind," I said without turning around. But I already knew she wouldn't. As I walked down the hall, I started counting in my head. Not the number of fights or cold shoulders, just how many days it had been since she touched me without a reason. Not a goodbye kiss, not a pat on the back. Not even a hand on my arm when we passed in the hallway. And I started realizing this wasn't just about tonight. It wasn't about a missed weekend trip or her attitude. It was the slow rot, the way I'd been fading into the background of my own marriage, year after year. I closed the bedroom door behind me, pulled off my shirt, and tossed it in the hamper. No sigh, no reflection, just a quiet, burning clarity. This wasn't one fight. It was a pattern. And I was finally starting to see it for what it really was. I slid under the covers without saying a word. The bed felt colder than usual, but maybe that was just me noticing it for the first time. She was already facing the other way, curled up tight with her phone glowing behind the curve of her shoulder. I didn't even ask what she was looking at. I didn't care. We hadn't touched in weeks, not even a casual brush of her foot against mine. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling like it might offer some kind of answer. But all I got was silence. There was a time when she used to fall asleep on my chest. I'd run my hand through her hair while she whispered about her day. I remember her laugh, real, loud, the kind that made people turn their heads in restaurants. We used to crack up over dumb movies, or stupid inside jokes that made no sense to anyone but us. That version of her feels like a different person now. Or maybe that version of us never existed the way I thought it did. The shift didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle. One night she was too tired to talk, then too stressed to hang out. Then, not in the mood, became the new normal. I'd ask what was wrong, and she'd say nothing with that clipped edge in her voice that dared me to push. So I stopped pushing. I thought if I stayed steady, if I gave her time, patience, space, she'd come back. But all that did was train her to believe I'd accept whatever scraps she threw me. Now, I'm lying in the same bed as my wife, feeling like a damn stranger. I turned on my side and looked at her back. Her hair was tied up in one of those loose, messy buns. I used to think it looked sexy. Now it just reminded me of how little she tried anymore, at least when it came to me. I started wondering, did she ever really love me? Or did I just check the boxes? Decent job, stable, not a threat to her independence. Maybe I was just the guy who fit the picture she had in her head. I used to believe we had something real, but I can't remember the last time she asked me how I was doing, or looked at me like she actually saw me. I've been clinging to memories of who she used to be, hoping they'd come back. But that's not love, that's delusion. And if I'm being honest, I've been trying to glue something back together that's been cracked for years. I pulled the covers tighter around my shoulders. Her breathing was steady, peaceful. Like there wasn't a goddamn thing wrong. That was the moment it hit me. I've been the only one fighting, the only one reaching across the gap, and I'm done doing it. Let her feel the silence for once. Let her wonder what happened to the guy who used to try. Because I'm not patching this up anymore. The next morning, I didn't ask her how she slept. I didn't make coffee for both of us like I usually did. I poured one mug, grabbed my keys, and left before she even walked out of the bedroom. It wasn't a statement. I wasn't trying to start a fight. I was just done begging for crumbs. At first, I expected her to notice the change. She didn't. I stopped asking about her day. No more shoulder rubs while she sat at her laptop. No more hand on her lower back when I passed behind her. Nothing. It was like pulling a plug out of the wall. Everything just went dark. And the weird part? I felt lighter. The silence used to eat me alive. Now, it felt like space. Like air. I started going to the gym after work. Nothing intense, just enough to get my blood moving, clear my head. I wasn't chasing abs or trying to impress anybody. I just wanted to feel like I had control over something again. The first week I came home late twice. She didn't ask where I'd been, didn't even look up from the couch. By the second week, I started waking up earlier. I'd be out the door before she even got to the bathroom, avoiding the awkward kitchen dance, the stiff mornings that felt more like choreographed grunts. I found a therapist on my lunch break one day, just Googled someone local, filled out the form, and booked an appointment. Didn't ask her opinion, didn't mention it at all. I sat on that leather couch and told the guy everything, no filters. He didn't say much at first, just nodded, let me get it out. But even that felt better than the cold wall I'd been talking to at home. By the third week, she finally noticed something was off. "You've been quiet lately," she said one night while we were brushing our teeth. I shrugged. "Just tired." She watched me in the mirror, like she was trying to read something in my face. "You mad at me?" I rinsed my mouth and looked her dead in the eyes. Should I be? She didn't answer, just turned and walked out of the bathroom. A few nights later, she sat next to me on the couch, closer than usual. Wore that soft robe I used to like. She tucked her legs under herself and leaned her head toward my shoulder, but I didn't react. I kept my eyes on the TV. She sat there for about 10 minutes, then got up and went to bed early. No, good night, no kiss. Another time, she walked into the kitchen wearing tight jeans and one of those tops she used to save for date nights. I looked at her, nodded once, and went back to loading the dishwasher. Her frustration started to crack through. "You're acting different," she said one Saturday morning. "I am different," I told her. She opened her mouth like she had a comeback, but nothing came out. She just grabbed her phone and walked out of the room. Every time she tried to draw me back in, I gave her nothing. No anger, no affection. Just calm distance. And with every day that passed, I realized something I never expected. I didn't miss her. I missed who she used to be. But this version of her, cold, calculating, dismissive, I didn't feel drawn to her at all. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was the one choosing the silence. That calm distance I was keeping, I started using it. I opened a new checking account during my lunch break. Just me on the paperwork, no shared access. I set up a small direct deposit from my paycheck. Not enough to raise alarms, but enough to build a cushion. Next, I combed through our joint accounts. Monthly stuff she'd never even noticed. Magazine apps, meal kits, Spotify family plan. Gone. She didn't say a word about it. Either she didn't see the changes or pretended not to. But she started watching me more closely after that. I'd catch her glancing at my laptop screen when she walked past the kitchen, asking weird little questions. "Did you change the Hulu login?" "Nope." Must have been a glitch." "Sure, a glitch." That week, I started using a spreadsheet to track everything. Bills, assets, her spending habits. Not to confront her with it, just to be ready. I wasn't rushing anything. I wasn't angry. I was just making sure I'd never be caught off guard again. And as I moved more pieces into place, she got twitchier. "You're always on your computer lately." I kept my tone flat. "So are you." She blinked. Didn't expect that one. At work, things were picking up. I was hitting my stride again, more focused, sharper. I stopped bringing the weight of our marriage into the office with me. That's when she started noticing me. Natalie from operations. Bright eyes, quick laugh, sharp as hell. She started stopping by my desk more often, asking if I was going to the Friday happy hour, or if I had lunch plans. I knew what it was. She wasn't subtle. She brushed my arm once when she passed behind me. Left her hand there a second longer than necessary. I didn't lean into it, didn't flirt back. But I'll be honest, It hit me in the gut how good it felt just to be seen. Not because I wanted something from her, but because I forgot what it felt like to matter. Back home, my wife started acting different. She came out of the bathroom one night wearing lingerie I hadn't seen in years, leaned against the doorframe like it was some kind of seduction scene. "You coming to bed?" she asked. I didn't even look up from my book. Not tired yet. I heard her exhale sharp through her nose, then stomped back to the bedroom without another word. 2 days later, she made dinner for the first time in months. Real food, candles, wine. "You don't have to do this," I said, sitting down at the table. "I wanted to," she answered. I nodded and started eating. Didn't compliment the food, didn't ask why the sudden change, because I already knew why. She felt it. Something shifting. Something she couldn't name, but it scared her. She was losing control, and the harder she tried to reel me back in, the more obvious it became. This wasn't about love or connection. It was about power. She just didn't like the fact that I'd stopped chasing her, and I wasn't planning on starting again. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was just grabbing milk and some cold cuts from the store down the street. I turned the corner by the bakery and nearly ran into Karen, my wife's closest friend from college. "Oh, hey," I said, stopping my cart. She flinched like I'd caught her doing something wrong. "Hey," she said, way too fast, clutching a tub of hummus like it was a damn secret file. Karen usually smiled, hugged, asked about work, or cracked some passive-aggressive joke about our neighborhood. Not today. Her eyes darted to the floor, then to the shelves behind me, like she couldn't wait to escape. "You good?" I asked. Yeah, just in a rush," she said. "You know how it is." "No problem. Say hi to Evan." "Will do." She turned so fast she knocked over a bag of bagels, didn't even stop to pick it up. Something in me twisted. Karen never acted like that. Later that night, I was in the office pretending to watch a YouTube video, but my brain was replaying her face over and over. Around 10, my wife came in, gave me a quick, "I'm heading to bed," and disappeared down the hallway. I waited a full hour, listened to the bathroom fan, the soft hum of her white noise machine. Gave it time. Then I opened her laptop. First place I checked was her calendar. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for, but there it was. Entries labeled "Personal Project," scheduled every other Thursday and a few random Saturdays. She hadn't mentioned any project. She didn't have a side hustle, wasn't volunteering, and it didn't line up with her office schedule either. I grabbed my phone light and headed to the bedroom. Quiet. Slow. Her face was turned to the wall, breathing even. I reached down and slid her phone off the charger. It unlocked with her thumbprint on the first try. Nothing in her messages looked suspicious, at first. But then I found the Files app. Buried folder. Password protected. She'd named it Documents 21. I guessed her old college email as the password. It opened. And just like that, everything snapped into place. Screenshots, text threads, photos. His name was Jeremy. Their messages went back months. Hotel bookings, late-night selfies. Messages like, "Last night was perfect," and "Wish I was waking up next to you again." No hesitation, no guilt. She'd been planning around it, scheduling him into her life like I didn't even exist. I scrolled and scrolled. It felt like my hands weren't even attached to my body anymore. My stomach turned cold, my jaw locked. And not because she cheated, but because it finally made sense. The emotional distance, the cold shoulders, the fake attempts at connection. She'd already left me. She just didn't have the guts to say it out loud. I stood there in the dark with that screen burning in my hand, and I knew. I'd been living in a one-sided marriage while she built a second life behind my back. This wasn't about power anymore. It was about betrayal, and now I had proof. I backed out of the bedroom like a thief. Her phone was back on the charger, screen down. She never stirred. The next morning, I made coffee like usual. Same 2 mugs, same silence. I handed her the cup and watched her smile like nothing was wrong. I didn't confront her. I wasn't going to blow it all up, not yet. I had work to do. That afternoon, I scheduled a consultation with a divorce attorney, referred by a guy at the gym, low-key, efficient, sharp as hell. I told him everything, showed him the folder. He didn't flinch. "You've got leverage," he said. Infidelity, emotional neglect, financial contributions you've been documenting. I started months ago. Good. Then we play this smart, quiet, strategic. That's what I did. I updated my private account to route more of my income through it. I made copies of bank statements, tax records, mortgage details. I logged every transfer she made. I even set up alerts in case anything big moved without me knowing. I wasn't planning to leave empty-handed. Back at home, I stopped talking unless it was absolutely necessary. No more small talk, no more dinner questions. I didn't touch her, didn't kiss her goodnight. But I kept it subtle, just enough to seem tired, busy, distracted. She started noticing. "You've been distant lately," she said one night, curled up next to me on the couch. "I've got a lot on my mind." "Is it work?" "Among other things." She let it hang there, waiting for me to ask her something. I didn't. She started trying harder. She made my favorite pasta 2 nights in a row. Left a note in my lunch bag. "Have a good day, babe." Started wearing makeup again, even on weekends. Then came the night she climbed into bed in nothing but a t-shirt and whispered, "I miss this. Us." I turned off the lamp. "I've got an early meeting." She shifted next to me, restless, but I stayed still. I wasn't angry anymore. I was surgical. Every attempt she made to pull me in, I saw it for what it was. Panic. The power dynamic had flipped and she could feel it. She used to control the intimacy, the attention, the pace of our connection. But now I wasn't chasing her. I wasn't trying to fix it. And without that dance, she had nothing to hold over me. The therapist called it reclaiming emotional agency. I called it waking the hell up. I cleared space in the closet, moved my files and essentials to a locked cabinet, started forwarding mail to a P.O. box. I changed my passwords, updated my phone settings. She never asked why. She just smiled more, laughed louder, hugged longer. It was fake. I knew it. She knew it. But she needed the illusion to keep herself comfortable. I was done giving her comfort. The confrontation would come, just not yet. Right now, I was getting everything in place, because when it hit, I wasn't planning to argue. I was planning to leave. Friday morning, she left for what she called a wellness retreat with a few coworkers. She tossed a duffel in the trunk, kissed me on the cheek like she hadn't been screwing someone else for months, and said, "Try to relax this weekend." I just nodded. She backed out of the driveway, waved through the window, and drove off like nothing was about to hit her. The second her taillights disappeared, I got to work. First stop, the bank. I froze our joint checking account, moved every dollar of my direct deposits into the private one. I transferred out my portion of the emergency fund and cut off access to the credit card she used like a personal toy chest. Then I called the attorney. "Green light," I said. He responded without missing a beat. "It's done. Paperwork is prepped. Monday delivery. Want it to her office or personal email?" "Office." She liked looking professional. Let her unwrap that one in front of her coworkers. I changed the locks too. Wasn't about fear. It was about the line, marking it in sharp, clear ink. The rest of the day was quiet. I made dinner, cracked open a beer, watched a game without pretending to enjoy it. For once, I wasn't thinking about what she was doing, where she was, or who she was with. Because I knew. She wasn't at some self-help circle in the mountains. She was with him. Jeremy, the guy who liked hotel breakfasts and called her baby in text like a teenager. I didn't care anymore. I picked up my phone and typed out one message. "When you get back, don't come home. Papers will be delivered Monday." I hit send and turned the phone face down. The response came 5 minutes later. "What the hell are you talking about?" Then another. "You're being ridiculous. Can we talk?" Another. "Where are you?" Then the anger hit. "You don't get to make this decision alone. You're acting like a child. We can fix this. Please." I turned off the ringer and left it on the table. She'd had years to fix this. She'd had months to tell me the truth. Now she could panic all she wanted, on someone else's time. I took the dog for a walk. Cool night, empty streets, stars above the neighborhood for the first time in what felt like forever. No weight on my chest, no rehearsing arguments in my head, no fake smiles to get through the evening. I got back, fed the dog, and climbed into bed. For the first time in years, I fell asleep in under 5 minutes. And I didn't dream about her. The next evening, around 6, I heard her car pull into the driveway. I was sitting on the couch, lights off, curtains cracked just enough. I didn't move, didn't even flinch. She got out slow. No suitcase, just her purse slung over one shoulder. She looked off, like the kind of tired that doesn't come from travel. She walked up to the front door, tried the handle. Locked. She knocked. Light at first, like she wasn't sure if I was home. Then again, harder. "Open the door," she said. I stayed seated. She stepped back, looked at the windows. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were darting around like she was searching for a camera crew to yell, "Cut!" "This is insane," she said louder. "Just come out and talk to me." I didn't move. Her knocking turned to pounding, full fists against the door, then palms, then the heel of her hand. "Stop playing games, David. You're not doing this. We are not doing this like this." I leaned back into the cushions and stared at the ceiling. She wasn't yelling because she cared. She was yelling because she'd lost control. Eventually, the noise stopped. When I peeked through the curtain, she was sitting on the top step, legs pulled in tight, arms wrapped around her knees. She wasn't crying loud. Just a quiet shake in her shoulders, the kind that builds when there's nothing left to scream. It was pathetic, but not in the way that made me feel pity. It was pathetic because this was the same woman who used to hold all the power in our house, who used silence as a weapon, who made me feel like less than nothing any time I asked for closeness. Now she was on the other side of the door, and all that power meant Jack. I watched her sit there for maybe 20 minutes. Then she took off one shoe. Her heel had snapped clean in half. She threw it across the lawn, stood up, wiped her face, and walked back to her car barefoot. I didn't follow her. Next morning, I opened the door and stepped out into the cool air. The heel was still lying in the grass, half buried in dew. I picked it up, turned it over once, and dropped it in the trash. That afternoon, the courier confirmed, documents delivered, signed for, left at reception. No dramatics, no note. Just the cold, quiet truth. It was over. 3 weeks later, I walked into the coffee shop near my office, same one I hit a few mornings a week. I was halfway through my order when I heard her voice behind me. "David." I didn't turn around right away. I finished paying, grabbed my receipt, then looked. There she was. No makeup, hair tied back in a low knot, hoodie, leggings, no jewelry. She looked smaller, not physically, just diminished. "I didn't think I'd run into you," she said. "Guess it was bound to happen." I moved to the pickup counter. She followed. "I've been meaning to reach out," she added. "Just didn't know how." I didn't answer. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other. "You look good." I nodded. "I feel good." Her eyes flicked down, maybe trying to read something in my stance or my face. "I've been thinking about everything," she said. "A lot, actually, and I'm not interested in rehashing it," I cut in, calm, flat, not cold, just done. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but she stopped herself. "You really just shut it all off, huh?" she asked. I sipped my coffee. "Number?" "You shut it off a long time ago. I just finally caught up." Silence. She took a breath. "I wasn't trying to hurt you. You weren't trying at all." She swallowed hard. "I didn't realize what I had until you lost control," I said. That hit her. I could see it. I picked up my drink and turned to leave, then paused. "You remember what you said that night I asked you to take a trip with me?" She blinked, unsure. "You said, if I want a weekend away, I'll let you know." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Well, if I ever want to look back, I'll let you know." I walked out without waiting for a reaction. Didn't need to. I didn't feel smug or angry or anything really, just free. She stood there in the middle of the shop, still trying to figure out how the grip she used to have on me disappeared, but it was gone, and it's never coming back.